Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Transparent Conversation. My name is Princess,
And I'm Chrislyn, and thank you for having a conversation with us.
and happy Thanksgiving. We hope you are enjoying your time with your family and friends while you watch this episode.
Today's topic, we are talking about immigrant parent expectations, or more specifically, African parent expectations on their children, how that affects their children from childhood well into adulthood, and what that says about the parents themselves.
As immigrant children, as Liberian, we have parents have expectations for their kids. When it comes down to career, when it comes down to marriages, when it comes to personal life, they create an entire life for this kid in their head, and the expectation is for you to follow that particular life that they created for you. In the space of career wise, you have five career in African home, okay? And those career is a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, or disgrace to the family. That is the five career African parents expect for you to have. And the disgrace of the family can go either way. And when I say disgrace of the family, it's not necessarily you being a bad person, right? It's not you like committing crimes or doing things outside of the norm. It's just disgrace to the family because you are not following that career path. If you are not ambitious as they want you to be, you fall into the category of disgrace to the family. But those expectations can be good and it can also be bad. And when I mean bad is in the terms of trapping the kid into a field that they just don't want to go into. And they do this because of specific reason. Most of them do this because they want to live through their kids. One thing I know for a fact, African parents love to live through their children. The life that they did not have, they want it for their kids, which is great, but they want to live through their kids, right?
And that can be both positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
So the positive side can be the parents building up a lifestyle that they didn't have the opportunity to have, and therefore they work towards giving their children more opportunities, which allows their children to have more freedoms than they had. And some parents didn't come from a very rich or wealthy background, so they want to bring more opportunity to their children. But on the selfish side, it kind of puts your children in a very limited box and doesn't give them the creative or even professional freedom without being either shamed or looked down on for veering outside of what your parents want you to do.
Correct. And you spoke on the selfish part. One of the biggest part is them trying to boast about you. There is this unspoken hierarchy that is built into the African community when it comes down to your children. It always, my child is better than your kid because they're in this field.
Yes.
So it's not that they don't care if that person that is in that field is a bad person. They don't care if that person is abusive or they did something crazy. As long as you're in the field that they want you to be in, what is medical field, a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, they think that you are better than somebody else kid who is not abusive, who is not who doesn't do crazy things, but maybe major in English or becoming a teacher. That shout out to teachers, but that is not making a certain amount of money they think that a kid should make. It's like this unattuned hierarchy that they try to build amongst themselves.
And that can have a negative effect on their children
Mm-hmm.
because constantly boasting about your child and comparing your child to other people's children can then have you, as a child of immigrant parents, constantly comparing yourself to other people.
Correct.
And, well, I'm not doing this right, or this person did this, so why wasn't I able to get to the place that I want to be? So that constant comparison, I think there's a saying, comparison is the
The
thief
thief
of
of
joy. So
yeah.
that constant comparison can kind of have you either second guess your own choices,
Mhm.
or second guess what you want in life, or even second guess your regular decisions. And constantly second guessing your own decisions for the happiness of others can result in oftentimes like low self-esteem, or like just low viewpoint of yourself
Mhm.
despite the great accomplishments that you have for yourself.
Right. It's mostly with the older generation, right? The younger generation who have children, I don't really hear much about them choosing, giving them a four career path. They support their kids whatever decision that they make concerning their career path. But the older generation, boomers generation, boomers generation really think that you should follow every single thing that they want you to follow.
Yeah.
And um, the one of the parts that I really don't appreciate with them, not all of the parents, but some of them will will not really help the kids to do won't really help the kids to achieve those goals, but they have that expectation for them to achieve it. I know some African kids who went through the entire university without the parents even helping or contributing, whether financially when it comes down to money and stuff like that. But when when the kid graduates, guess what? They
They're
hold
throwing a
that mic.
lapa. They're
Mm-hmm.
throwing a lapa, yeah.
Throwing a lap and they have a mic to talk about how proud they are and their kid is a doctor or kid is a lawyer and just boasting around through everything. But they are the ones that did not help that kid to reach that milestone. So on the selfish part, it's all about them being looked at as a good parent because in the mind of boomers, if the kid is in a good field, they equate it to the parents being a good parent.
Mm.
So if the kid is a doctor, oh, we they praises the parent. Thank you for this, or the child is a lawyer, your child is a doctor. You did a good job raising them. They equate a specific career path to being a good parent.
Yeah, and oftentimes a hyper focus
Mhm.
on education or certain aspects of a child's like upbringing, like education, can have some parents being a bit neglectful on how the child may see themselves, on how the child's able to interact with others in a healthy way, how a child is able to interact with themselves in a healthy way, and just even like some mental health may not be a first priority.
Right.
Is more so like make more money, like do things on a financial education, or do things based on how other people will see you rather than how you will see yourself, which can be very detrimental.
Yeah, and they this to piggyback on what you're saying, on the neglect part, because they haven't um walked that path that the kid is walking when it comes down to academia. They don't really know what is going on. That concern is just be this. Because my friends got to see me, dance for your graduation, or I have to be the mother or the father of a doctor or a lawyer. And some of the time it's parents that you know didn't go far into a lot of things, right? It's like, what if I compare you to your mate? Your mate is Bill Gates, right? And he's a billionaire. Like, what happened to that? You want to have all of this expectation, but your mates did something, and what happened to you, right? And that's just the funny part of it, right? On the non-serious note, but they don't have a problem comparing you to your mate, but they forget that mates also are millionaires and billionaires as well.
Yeah, and even if a parent is also highly educated, they have to sometimes realize times have changed. You know, the type of environment that we as millennials or like Gen Z growing up is different from the times that they had back then.
Mhm.
So even if they had a similar educational field or educational journey, they can't exactly compare their experience to your experience because they went through different things. Maybe during their time, they were raising children while they were going through their education, but you weren't, or you have like other things that you have to worry about. So even if a parent did go far in their education, times are times are different, and they can't always compare how they went through life with how you go through life, because although you guys are connected by DNA, you guys are completely different people,
Right.
and that's what some
Absolutely.
parents don't always like recognize.
Some of them are just not understanding when it comes down to that part. And I will bet it on them trying to boast. I will bet my money on that. That's one of the main reason why they don't really care much about what you have to say, is because of how the their peers is gonna see them. Again, your accomplishment reflect good parenting on them. So they don't care if times are different or um, the journey is different. This is not something that you want to do. It really doesn't matter because your accomplishment reflect me being a good parent. So you have to do this so I can be looked at as a good parent. But some of them will not even help you to get those goals done. Like, how are you pushing me to get something done without assistance, but you want me to get that goal done? You want me to accomplish this, but I don't have assistance from you.
Although they see their child's reflecting of them as like, oh, because you're doing so great, therefore that makes me such a good parent. People have to realize there are different parenting styles that
Mm-hmm.
can affect children in many different ways. We recently read an article discussing the types of parenting styles and how that affects children. There are four main parenting styles, and for some people they may connect with one parenting style that they saw their parents pushing on them, and some people they might see others. So the first parenting style is the authoritarian parenting, and this style typically engages in a one-way mode of communication, very dictatorship-like parenting, where my way is my way or the highway, and what I say goes. And oftentimes, this level of parenting style can follow precise instructions more effectively to achieve their goals. Um, and this leads to higher levels of aggression, while parents may also exhibit shyness or social ineptitude and difficulty to make their own decisions, as well as not being able to believe in their own decision making skills.
I think that parenting is holds a strong part in an African household, um, because growing up in African parenting household, that that way is either their way or the highway. They are not all of them. Most of them are not the kind to explain stuff to children. So they will tell you, "Oh, don't get this done," but don't really give you a why. In the minds of African parents, they don't need to tell you why. They just need you to just do what they say, right? And as you said, those things can really create low self-esteem, um and it actually takes away your ability to speak freely, and it hits you, and you won't really notice it until you get older, and you notice that when someone tell you something, you are not really critically thinking about it. You just going by what they say because you have been programmed by your parents to just follow what they tell you and not to ask questions. And that's how indoctrination starts too. You know, don't question what I tell you, just follow what I say. Whether it's right or wrong, just follow what I say.
And that can be very damaging in having a level of discernment in like how you interact with your friends, how you
Mhm.
interact with authority figures. So for some people, because they grew up with very authoritarian parenting style, they aren't able to speak up for themselves when they are mistreated, or don't
Yes.
easily let go um of like abusive relationships, or they find themselves being stuck in a situation that they think that they can't get out of because they don't trust themselves.
Yes. You highlight a part when it comes down to especially personal relationship, um because of that parenting style. What I really want African parents to understand is how you parent your kid is going to roll over to them as an adult. The way you parent your kid, if the kid is constantly have to do things to please you, they grow up to become people pleaser. And if you parent your kid on for them not to question when it comes down to making decisions, they won't have that discernment to question stuff, which can keep them in again an abusive relationship for longer than they're supposed to, because they're not thinking that this behavior is wrong. They see that parents do it to them, and now they think it's okay for someone else to get it done to them because they're used to it. When your nervous system get used to something, it's hard to break out of it.
Yeah.
It takes being intentional to take out to remove those parenting style from you. And you have to reparent yourself.
Yeah.
You got being an adult, you have to reparent yourself when all of those parenting style and expectation is put on you when you become an adult. You deconstruct those things and have to reparent yourself so that you can actually be a functionally adult and not accept abuse and be able to speak up without fear, without fearing that when you say something, your partner won't speak to you anymore.
Yeah, and a big part of being an adult is not only parenting yourself, but kind of reflecting on your own childhood and making your younger self proud of you.
Right.
So that can be in your career field, that can also be in how you see yourself as a person.
Mhm.
If you are a type of child that didn't feel like you were being heard, then you might want to get into hobbies that allow you to be more vocal, or maybe get into some type of journaling, or maybe even like mentorship where you're able to speak up and be heard by people that actually care about what you have to say.
Mhm.
So that's a big part of like being an adult, is like you are responsible of your own traumas, and you have the responsibility to become the person that you want to be, rather than constantly bashing on the person that you are now. The second parenting style was authoritative parenting. So, authoritative parenting is characterized by a close and nurturing relationship between parents and child, where they are still able to set clear expectations, but they follow those expectations by disciplinary actions. And it's kind of a healthy way of parenting, because not only do you have clear expectations that you expect your children to follow, but you're able to communicate and explain to your children why you have these expectations in place. And this type of parenting styles encourages independence. Authoritative parents also help their children understand that they can achieve goals on their own, and results in a level of higher self esteem. I kind of resonate with this parenting style more because although my parents were very strict, because I remember in high school, my parents had like a and B type like grading system that they wanted me to follow, like, oh, you either get A's or B's. But they gave me a chance to explain, oh, maybe I had trouble understanding this. So they will sit me down and like, hey, what's going on? Why are you like below a B? And although they would have disciplinary actions like, hey, you got below a B, I'm taking your phone, they would give me a chance to like sit down and explain why. And although, we would have our own disagreements, um they didn't always make me feel like too fearful to like speak up. Although they did find me always asking questions a bit annoying at times. Although they found it annoying, they still gave me room. Like, I don't, even now when I talk to my parents, I don't have like a level of fear towards them that if I don't speak up, they're not gonna listen. We might have our disagreements, but at the end of the day, they still give me like space to speak my mind.
Um, for me, I would say there was some of that in my upbringing. Um, there wasn't a lot of question being asked at the house, so the rules were set, everything is clear out, and you just follow it, right? Um, the only time I would probably like ask questions is if I want to go somewhere and they're saying no, and I'm like, why? Why can't I go? But the answer always result because I say so. Something that was really strict in growing up in my African parent in my Liberian parent home is they were more strict on me than my brother, right? When it comes down to going out, um, and because they don't want whatever happened to reflect on them as the parenting style. Again, it's an invisible hierarchy they have going on. They will have these rules where I can't really do a certain thing because they don't want me to get pregnant, right? But that those same rules are not applied to my brother as if he can get a girl pregnant.
Yeah, I think a lot of gender based expectations can be a really big issue in African homes as well, in
Right.
terms of, like you said, going out, in terms of chore responsibilities, in terms of monitoring like your friend group. That can play a big part in, parents having a little higher expectations in their daughters versus expectations in their sons.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of interesting, like
Yeah,
exploring
because
that.
in their minds is if the daughter get pregnant, they look bad,
Yeah.
right? They look as a bad parent, but they don't hold that same energy when it comes down to that son getting another girl pregnant because that person that son is getting pregnant is not their daughter. So it is it's just the part of the misogyny and the patriarchal unnecessary uneven standard they have for both women, both girls and boys, as if boys don't get girls pregnant. If a boy get a girl pregnant, uh, they don't look people don't see them as a bad parent.
Yeah, it's more so a shift of responsibilities. Like, they believe that the girl is more responsible for her body because of, the result of a pregnancy,
Hmm.
versus if a boy gets a girl pregnant, it's more so on her. It was her responsibility. Although it is a guy's responsibility to control himself as well and like have better standards as to how he chooses to impact the world in terms of like bringing up a child out of
Hmm.
wedlock. People see us more as a woman's responsible for her body, even though people don't see my body, my choice type of
Right.
thing.
They're always contradicting themselves.
Yeah.
They're always
You're responsible for your body, but it's not your
It's not your
body.
choice. Whatever
Yeah,
you want to do, it's not your choice.
exactly.
I definitely agree with that. This idea that when that boys children get a girl pregnant, it doesn't reflect on them is such a crazy thinking, because it's still the same thing. You should feel ashamed too. You
Yeah.
shouldn't just feel ashamed if your girl get pregnant,
Yeah.
right? Because at this point, then the rules become different in the house, because the shame comes from the girl. It's always weird that society start to shame you from such a young age, right? And your parents play a huge role in shaming their daughters from such a young age, because they have internalized misogyny where if the girl do this, they feel that other parents are looking at them as a failure.
Yeah. And it's that
But
shame.
not when the boy does it. Just when the girl.
Yeah.
When the girl does it, oh, I'm a bad parent. I'm a failure as a parent. But when the boy do it, people is going to just say, oh, but boys is they're boys. Boys will be boys. Oh, why didn't the girl protect herself? Why would she allow the boy to get her pregnant? It's just the shift of responsibility and blame. They feel more comfortable um not taking blame for that boy's bad behavior, but will but the girl decision will reflect that parenting style, but not the boy decision.
Yeah. And it's interesting how shame stems from a person's ability to not be able to control someone as much as they want to. So it's like the more control I have over you, the more proud I am. But the less control,
Oh,
the less control I have over you, the more shame you should feel.
wow,
So I think that's an interesting
that's
connection.
yes, that's an interesting connection. Wow. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because what?
Yeah.
That's okay. Control and shame. Wow. If I can control you, I can shame you.
Yes. The more I can control you, the less shame you feel, but the less I control you, the more shame you feel. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to the girls' children, that's just internalized misogyny in them. Like a lot of our parents have this deep rooted misogyny inside of them. Even the mothers are extremely misogynistic, and of course the men are. Um, and because of that, they um, they seek to control their kids to avoid shame from coming to them, right? Then I don't think our parents, our African parents, really care about the person, the child, shame or whatever. When the child feel that shame, is because the parents is making them feel that shame, because the parents feel shameful for the child action.
Yeah. So it's more so projecting. It's like because I feel shame based on something that I couldn't control and based on your actions that were outside of my control, therefore I'm gonna make you feel shamed as well. And then the society and the neighbors and your community around you
Right.
also like spews that shame back onto you.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that shame get trapped inside of you,
Yeah.
and you carry that shame as an adult. Most That's why a lot of the time a lot of adult children carry shame that was given to them from their parents. That shame is trapped inside of them, and it takes work to remove that shame from you. Again, you have to unlearn and reparent yourself and be kind and let yourself know, hey, that is not shameful. This is a decision that you make, and you have to own it and not feel shame with those decisions.
Yeah. And I think we can jump into the third parenting style, the permissive parenting style, which is typically warm and nurturing on the outside, but overall it holds very minimal expectations for the children, and it has very minimal, it has like a lack of expectations and infrequent disciplinary actions. And this type of parenting style can result in children having a lack of self-control and like considerable freedom, and the children are able to make their own decisions on their bedtime or on how much screen time they have. And it allows, and this results in children possessing generally good self-esteem but very decent social skills, but just a, on the negative side, they are a bit more impulsive and selfish and aren't good at regulating themselves.
Mm.
So yeah, on the outside, it's like, oh, I'm super nurturing and caring, but it's more like hands off, and you let children make their own decision. And although parents need to find a balance between allowing their children to decide for themselves and stepping in as a parent and having relatively strict disciplinary roles within the household, I think finding that good balance as a parent is probably really difficult, I imagine.
Yeah, in our household when I was growing up, I my parents was little bit on the side of hands off when it comes down to academia. So they really um I was in control on a lot of things when it comes down to my schooling, right? My parents did not pick my career path. I always knew the path that I wanted to go on even as a kid. They liked it because it falls into the category of the favorite things that African parents want their children to be. There was a lot of hints off on there. Um, I knew when to study. I did not really. No parent came to me and constantly tell me, "Oh, you have to go study or be a helicopter parent." Like I took charge in that aspect of my life. And when it comes down to applying to college, that was also I was also in charge of that aspect. They didn't tell me what school to go to, when to apply, none of those things. I knew what to do. I was always an initiative person. I'm a first daughter, so like I take a lot of responsibilities and I took a lot of initiation on my own to do things. So my parents saw that and was kind of a hands off in that aspect as well. But my brothers was different. My little brother, they told him, "Hey, did you do your homework? You gotta go study at this time." But for me, that was a little bit of a hands off part,
Uh,
and it was good for me. It was good for me. Um, it still made me into a person where I still take initiative. Like I sit down, critically think about things and make sound decision because I was able to make decision for myself growing up when it comes down to that aspect. Of course, when it comes down to going out and all those things, they made those decisions. Like you can't do this, you can't do that because you're a girl, you're gonna get pregnant, and
mm,
this and that and the third. But it had no problem with me leading myself in my career path.
think my parents were very hands on. They would check in, like, they, as all parents, they went to work and they would often call me, like, hey, are you doing your homework? Or when they come home, they'll be like, hey, did you do your homework? Every semester, we would go through like the beginning of every semester, we would go through the list of classes I was taking for that semester.
Really?
Or the end of the semester, they'd be like, hey, what classes are you signing up for next semester? To be like, okay, why are you signing up for this when this course is probably gonna set you up better in terms of applying for
Wow.
universities.
My counselor was the one like doing that. My parents didn't do that at all.
I think it was like both, because I would talk with my counselor and then I would go back to my parents and then we would talk about it. Each semester we would go over like what am I applying, what courses am I doing next semester, and then
Mhm.
the beginning of each semester we would like go over like, hey, why are you taking these courses? Is this a requirement? Um,
And that like rolled over through college.
No, for college, it was more so like the beginning, like when applying for universities, we like went down like top 5 universities I wanted to apply to, based on um like the type of university, based on the major, and based on the distance and cost. So there were some schools that were out of state. They're like, okay, don't apply to this because it'll be expensive. They definitely pushed me in terms of like looking up different scholarships, or I would do my own research. Like they would suggest me like, hey, don't forget to look up scholarships and grants, and then I would
You
do
do
my
the
own
same.
research and be like, hey, this is what I found. In terms of university, I kind of, because my parents had kind of so much control over that in high school, I kind of wanted to be like, I want to do this on my own in college. So I didn't really involve them as much.
Right.
But then that also kind of made me want to take charge and not want to tell them much. So then when I did like not do great in some courses, I wanted to like hide it from them because I wanted to prove to them like I can do this on my own and not have them step in. So I guess because like they kind of had a lot of control in high school, I wanted to step out and take the initiative on myself. But then when things weren't working out or I wasn't doing as great as I thought, I kind of kept it to myself and kind of like
I
wasn't
did
as
too.
open. Yeah, I wasn't as open because I wanted to prove to them that I could do it myself, and they didn't have to tell me what to do and I could do. Yeah, so I think it was more, yeah.
For me, because I handle pretty much everything in high school, I found my own SAT tutor, but my parents gave the money for me to buy the books and stuff for me to get the tutoring to get my SAT and ACT done. When I got to college, I did everything on my own. And even when I struggle, I did not open up to tell them about it because that foundation of me taking care of things has already been set when I was in high school. So my parents had already known me as the person who handled my business, who is into my books. So when I, not doing so well in a class, I couldn't tell them because of the shame aspect.
And did you feel like they could help you if even if you did tell
They
them?
couldn't help me,
Okay.
but because that relationship wasn't already established on talking to them about anything, even in high school, like they will always hear good things about me in school in parenting stuff. I was always on a scholastic achievement list and I was always on the honor roll list as well. So because of that, they don't think that college will be any different. They think I would just go in and ace this thing up. So I had to keep that. I had to um, follow whatever thing that I had in the mind of me.
Mm.
So I couldn't really openly say, hey, I'm not doing well. I'm struggling in this. I had to suck it up. I talk to other people now. I have people to talk to help me through, but not my parents because the foundation of me handling things on my own had already been established before my college career.
Yeah. Think for me, I was a bit more quiet and not doing so well as a way to like prove to them like I can do this on my own. So
Mm,
then I so then the more I kind of held it in and kept it to myself, the more fearful I became. But then once I finally opened up, they're like, Kristen, if you had just said something, we could have helped you this whole time. So then when
right.
I finally told them, we sat down and had a plan together. So it was kind of like me trying to prove to them and myself that I could get it done, but they kind of at the end of, and because I was like, oh, if I don't do this, then I'm going to, like, they won't be proud of me, and that kind of made me kind of like fearful of them seeing me in a negative light, because I always wanted them to see me as like their smart and like engineer girl. But then once
Right.
I finally opened up, they're like, Kirsten, you really could have just come to us. We'll always love you. It's fine. We just wish you'd have told us sooner. That way we could have solved the problem earlier and prevented you from like wasting all this time.
Yeah,
So,
the expectation can make you become a people pleasing person, right?
yeah,
Because you want to please them, you don't want them to look at you in other way. You want to keep on this pleasing momentum,
yeah.
and that can carry through in your personal life as well.
And I do understand the idea of wanting the people you like to see you in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have to be honest with yourself
Right.
and make sure that how you see yourself is first and foremost how you actually are. Okay, we'll go into our fourth parenting style. That's the uninvolved parenting,
Ooh.
which it grants children a high level of freedom, as these parents typically take a hands off approach. And these parenting styles can typically lead to children being more self-sufficient. So basically, child neglect, because then the children end up struggling with emotional regulation, exhibiting less effective coping strategies, and face academic challenges, even difficulties maintaining or nurturing social relationships.
Hmm. I don't think I know anyone with that parenting style, with that
Yeah,
neglect. So, but I can, we can speak on the impact it have. But like, I don't think I know an example in my personal life or even people around me.
I think these type of parenting styles, like an example I could think of is maybe if parents overwork so much that they barely ever see their kids, but like at like a young age. Because I
Hmm.
know that sometimes parents, work and then when they come home they see their kids, but maybe in the instance where a parent works so much that they barely ever see their kid at all within a week
Hmm.
and maybe don't interact with them, that could result in like a type of like neglect on,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that can also make a person to become people pleaser too, because when you're neglecting a child will want to do everything possible to please you so that you can show them attention,
Yeah,
because children love attention, right? And you even see it in adulthood. There are many adults who actually just seek attention so much because they did not get that from their parents.
yeah. It can also reflect in not being able to set boundaries
Yes, in
in
friendship.
friendships, maybe in the workplace. Like you're not able to like have clear expectations within your job, and you let your job overwork you with like no proper compensation. You
Mhm.
don't stand up for yourself in terms of like promotion or anything like that. So it can definitely affect a person throughout their life.
Yeah,
The need for attention, the need for constant validation,
you're
because you yourself devalue yourself.
it can also leave you feeling depleted as well and draining. Until you break that, you will be drained because you constantly will want to do more and more and more so that you can get that attention and that validation from other people.
And talk about expectations, let's talk about different solutions as an adult, how you can kind of reflect on how these expectations affect you now. Because we talked
Mhm.
about earlier how, as an adult, you're responsible for your own trauma, you're
Mhm.
responsible for reflecting on your childhood and working towards becoming the person you want to be rather than constantly beating yourself up for the person who you are now.
Right.
And reflecting on your childhood and kind of facing your childhood traumas could be talking to yourself, and maybe either journaling or going to therapy, meditating even, and finding ways to kind of ground yourself
Yes.
can be really helpful.
As you go through those changes,
Yeah,
grounding yourself as you unlearned um, whatever parenting expectation and parenting style that was given to you as a child. Um, Specifically, if it's not working out for you right now, but you have to be aware though.
yeah, that's
Co-
self-awareness. Yeah.
yeah, being cognitive on what is going on is is important Because if you are not aware, you cannot identify the parenting style that is affecting you right now.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of your parenting style, you can't make the change. And if you can't make the change, you can't shift your brain for it to bring in new ways for you to see stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't make your life better either.
At all. And other ways that you can make your life better is by learning to trust yourself more.
Yeah.
So, building confidence, maybe trying a new hobby, maybe trying to set new boundaries between like your friends or yourself, and just building up that confidence and
Mhm.
learning to make decisions for yourself and trust that you know what you want in life. And
Mhm.
even if you don't know what you want in life, being able to trust that even if I don't know what I want now, I at least trust my abilities to make better decisions in the future.
I agree. Um, trusting yourself will really play a key role when you are unlearning certain things, because when you get to the point of unlearning things and relearning new things and reparenting yourself, the old ways will try to pull you back. You constantly have to remind yourself that you trust this decision that you're making. You trust yourself. You trust you're doing the right thing. You have to remind yourself about this trust. You have to remind yourself that I am on the right path. I trust I'm making the right decision. I trust my discernment. That way, you can build that confidence, even in little things, right? In decisions that you are making. If you are trusting yourself in those decisions, when the bigger decision comes for you to make, you are able to make you're able to trust yourself in that large decision
Yeah.
without doubting.
Yeah, and without constantly seeking like other people's
Yes.
validation over your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Definitely
definitely.
agree. And also just having conversations, transparent conversations
Okay.
with yourself.
Hunt intended.
Exactly. With yourself, maybe even sometimes your siblings, because sometimes comparing how you felt about the expectations that your parents had on you can be different from how your other siblings felt on the expectations they had on them, and you can kind of compare and contrast and kind of be able to relate to each other, because definitely with your siblings you guys have a unique experience in that
Yeah.
you both have the same parents, um, and you're both able to, or all of you are able to like compare and contrast. You guys have that
We have the same parent, but we experience different parents.
exactly different parenting. Yeah.
Yes. So like my brother is way younger than me, like super duper younger than me, and he had a different mom than I had.
Yeah.
Complete different. My older brother, who were 3 years apart, our parents was different parenting, because, and also we have to also put in the aspect of gender as well.
Yeah.
So we me and my assembly talk about this too. My and sometimes I just write in the family chat and say, hey, this is how you were, when I was growing up and stuff like that. Highlighting to my parents that I saw the difference in how I was treated as a young girl growing up than how my brother was treated as a young boy growing up, and how my little brother is was treated as a young boy growing up.
So definitely talking to your siblings, and that could be a bonding experience. Be able to relate to your siblings in that way, and also talking to your parents. As an adult, you would expect your parents to treat you in a more adult-like manner.
Right,
They
right.
wouldn't be like, or they shouldn't be talking down to you as if you were like a small child as you were before. So
Not all of them though. Some African
yeah,
parent,
not all of
they
them. Yeah.
they have this ownership mindset. They don't see you as an adult. They think they own you, so they get to say whatever they want. You have to put that boundary down to them,
Yeah.
like, hey, I might be your child, but I am not a child. I'm an adult person. I'm an adult man. I'm an adult woman. So there has to be a respect there when you're approaching me and when you're speaking to me, because I deserve a respect. Even though I did deserve respect as a child, but you did not give that to me, and I really didn't have much to say because you were sheltering me and feeding me.
Hmm.
But this is not, you are no longer doing that, and that this boundary is set here, and you have to give me the respect and regards. We can either have this discussion as an adult, or we can let the conversation die, but that relationship that we need to build, that healing relationship, won't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And healing relationships are based on different parties being able to understand each other. So you have to make sure that your parents are in the mindset of understanding you and not just hearing what you say, having it go
Mm-hmm.
through one ear, not the other. They have to be able to sit down with themselves, sit down with their actions, and sit down with how their actions affected you as you were growing up. And just being able to open up to each other about how things could have been different or how you think that things could have gone differently as well.
And I think parents needs to understand, um, this is not your children trying to shame you, because a lot of the time parents don't want to sit and have this conversation. It's uncomfortable for them to hear what they did to you.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for them to face the fact. A lot of time African parents don't like to take accountability and responsibilities for them actions. They won't do it. Accountability and responsibility, or apologizing to that kid, they don't go together. It's like 1 in 10. They're far apart. They
Yeah.
just don't know how to take ownership and responsibility, when it comes down to that children. They don't want to apologize. They don't want to sit in discomfort. So a lot of reason why they don't want to have this conversation, because of the discomfort that conversation brings to them. And then they'll come up with excuses. For me, I don't need your excuse. I need us to have this conversation without you trying to bend corners and make excuses for your actions. I know it's uncomfortable, but you have to hear this, because I was uncomfortable that growing up on how, on your parenting style, right? But I couldn't say nothing because you were the parent. Now that I'm an adult and you also an adult person, we're gonna have this conversation together as both adult, as a parent and your child.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't see it as an attack. A thing I would leave for children to, when you do have the conversation, give your parents grace, especially if you see changes in them now as an adult person. Give them grace, assure them that this conversation is not to shame them. Again, our parents carry shame with them because their parents shame them too.
Yeah.
So because of that, anything that is uncomfortable or that may be triggering to them from that childhood, it can bring shame to them. So just reassuring that, hey, we are not here to shame you.
At
We
all.
are here to talk, and we want a better relationship with you. This is why we want to have this conversation with you.
Exactly.
That can make a big, big difference.
And that is important to do because, in closing, understanding the expectations that your parents had for you and how that affected your childhood and that affected how you see yourself, and being able to break down and sit down with your thoughts and talk with those around you, that allows you to grow better as a person. That
Mm-hmm.
allows you to become a better person and to generally take responsibility and then have conversations for others to take responsibility for how they reflected you. And that in turn can allow for greater adults and also for greater parents in the future. Those
Mm-hmm.
of us who have children or want to have children, that can allow us at our age group to do better and be better for
Mm-hmm.
the upcoming generation, also be better and do better for ourselves and how we interact with those around us and how we see ourselves.
Right. And that conversation can be healing, like you said, not just for y'all, but for the person, for the individual, how they move in the world, how they operate in different relationships, whether it's personal, career, or friendship. That healing conversation can really snowball into all of those different part of your life. This weekend could be a perfect time to talk to your parents if the window is there. You can definitely have that conversation with them because it's Thanksgiving, holidays. People are always in good spirits, so seizing the opportunity, not using it to fight, you know, it can be a good thing. Just having a conversation with your parent and with your assembly, it could be a good time to bond with your family. So
Yeah. So take that time and use it wisely.
yeah, use it wisely. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Eat good. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm going over my cousin's house. My parents and siblings and are driving over, and yeah, I'm just going over a cousin's house because she's hosting Thanksgiving this year.
Okay. Um, Sounds fun. I am hosting Thanksgiving this year, so everyone is coming on Wednesday. I invited some friends as well. So happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, and once again, thank you for having a conversation with us.